Hi guys, welcome to Slash 2. I'm Kyle.
And I'm Charlie.
And today we're discussing character building.
Character creation, yeah.
Yeah, character creation. World building, character creation, world creation, character building. It doesn't matter.
There's a theme going to come along. I think it's like going to end up being a bit of a series of D&D helpiness in the long run, but...
Yeah, we'll keep the video game stuff too though, because that's what I know.
Of course. I mean, you know D&D as well. You're playing a campaign, so...
I'm a meat shield.
But yeah, so basically we're going to be covering a few different things. What makes a good and bad character. Not just in terms of building your own characters, but in terms of video games. We've seen things that we think work and don't work. We are going to be talking about our D&D characters, our attempts at building, decent characters. What our thought processes are during it. Obviously, as a DM, I have to do it a lot. So we'll be covering some of those bits as well. And I know that you, Carl, you wanted to do a quick update on our D&D campaign as well.
Yeah, it sort of ties in a little bit. Because Nat accidentally a whole Dragonborn.
So, Kyle, would you cover your ears for me for a second until I give you a thumbs up?
Okay, this also means I can't listen to the podcast.
You don't listen back to it anyway.
I'm one of those fire and forget kind of guys. La 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 la.
I don't la la la. So, our Dragonborn character has had the option of walking a light or a dark path. He has chosen light, however, he didn't do it immediately. He did choose the dark path at first, which either way he had to sit down and do some meditation for a couple of in-game days to set everything up. Now, the guys have recently ended up in Hell, and Deckard, the Dragonborn, was left behind and had to come through on a secondary portal. Now, the Deckard that came through isn't the real Deckard. It is a doppelganger made to look like him, had he have taken the evil path with the basic goal of splitting up the party from Deckard, making them hate him. The real Deckard is currently back in the material plane doing his meditation. But yeah, I will just be referring to the doppelganger as Deckard because I don't want Kyle to know what's going on. So from this point on forward, you guys know what's happening.
What?
Cool. So I've just filled our listeners in on some integral plot stuff to make it make sense that you can't know yet. So
that's absolutely fine, because while I had my fingers in my ears, my tinnitus went away, so I couldn't have been happier.
But yeah, so I mean, do you want to update the story so far, what you've picked up?
Yeah. Everyone was fucking blaming me because I took a back seat and decided, I'm just going to see how this shit pans out. And then all of a sudden, what's her face? One of the mummies, because we've got Deland.
How is anyone supposed to understand any of the words you're saying right now?
Because fucking Nat's corrupted me. Yeah, so Nat's corrupted me. So with these two lesbian mummies, so we've got Deland and Cadriel.
So the guys are in Hell. Cadriel is a fallen angel, and she is our warlock's patron. Anyway, yeah, so you're in Hell, and you've got Cadriel, who is basically housing you in the meantime, and her wife, Deland, who is a high-level druid. Yeah, so Deland is a high-level druid. They are married. Deland is a tiefling. Basically, they're in the plane of Dis, which in my world is home to basically a race of slightly more demonically infused tieflings. It's like the least level of Hell. Yeah. It's like the first rung.
Aren't they all cherry flavour as well, whereas I'm blueberry flavour? So I stand out like a sore thumb.
Most of them are red, yes.
Yeah, I don't refer to tieflings
Deland's green because she's a druid.
Yeah, she's lime. I refer to tieflings by their flavour, not by their colour, because I'd like to mix things up a little bit.
But yeah, anyway, so you basically went into Hell looking for a missing party member who is, I think I mentioned before, a guy who couldn't play with us for a while because his shifts changed.
He had a lot of fights to do outside the game.
Yeah. He is coming back, and basically while you've been in Hell, things have been a bit shady. People have been acting off, people have been... What do you want to fill them in and what mostly Deckard's done?
Yeah, so he stole a fucking ring. Well, no. Mouse stole it. But
he contracted Mouse to steal Cadriel's wedding ring, which is infused with special magic as part of the marriage process in Dis to stop, obviously, people marrying and power struggles and blah, 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 blah. To basically defend each family from who they're marrying.
Yeah. So that got stole, ended up in a plant. Plant got hungry, had to be fed before said ring could be retrieved. Then your boy here got the blame, all because he decided to take a back seat and just ride out the story and be like, let's see where this is fucking going. Because, like, it was started as a small fire, and then before I knew it, the whole fucking train was ablaze. Yeah. And I'm right at the back getting the blame for it all.
I mean, previously, Deckard had communicated with a young boy who was in basically the prison, the dungeons, who had been severely tortured and actually had his soul ripped out.
Just for
so he shouldn't have been able to communicate with him, so there was a thought of possession running around the group at that point. And basically, Deckard tried to say, well, have you noticed who's been around whenever all this stuff has kicked off? And then started pointing at Zarthos.
And it's hilarious because I'm full clad in armour with hooves and a fucking tail. I am the least stealthy of the group. Mm-hmm. Like, I will just walk around, clonk, clonk, clonk. Yeah, and I can't steal shit. And plus, like, being a paladin.
Well, that's the thing. Like, the party knew it wasn't you, but it was more you've been very quiet this whole time, and you were around when that possession thing was kicking off. And
I was trying to be more like the strong and silent type, just because I've got, like, my character's now an absolute unit with the amount of health he's got.
Yeah.
But, like, you know, and they just fucking put the blame on me.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, we go after the spring...
Bastian, the lost friend.
Yeah, or as he's known as Spring-Heeled Jack, because I assume he jumps like a fucking human grasshopper.
Yeah, he was jumping over the buildings.
Yeah, fucking... You know, he put Usain Bolt on the spot there.
Basically, the missing friend had been kidnapped by an evil god and had managed to, by making deals with demons, escape. And had made his way up to Dis and was looking for a way out to the material plane. But in the meantime, he had donned the moniker of Spring-Heeled Jack and was basically going around slaughtering all of the hellish inhabitants he could find.
But the real kicker, the bit that it really did boil my piss, was when me and Evangeline were discussing, if I use this spell, you can use this spell, and we can heal him and stop him from dying.
Because he'd been caught with a spear right through the chest that was poisoned, and he was on about 6 hit points.
He was on 1, wasn't he?
No, he was on 6.
Wow. But anyway, so me and Irene were like, oh yeah, let's do this. And then all of a sudden Deckard comes in and just goes, here, hold this for me in your chest cavity, and sticks a fucking dagger in him.
Yeah, a buff dagger, and he crit as well, so it did double damage. So he killed the friend that he'd spent months hunting for. And immediately, our dear Valkyrie just went, banished, right, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, so she accidentally old Deckard, and we assume he's on the material plane. And, like, we're supposed to have had a session tonight, but we've postponed it.
Everyone's ill, it's not just me.
Yeah, everybody's ill. So here we are, and that's pretty much where we are with the D&D campaign so far.
But yeah, so all this leads into the fact that Deckard obviously has been banished. So Ant, the player of Deckard, is rolling up a new character. At the very least to use while they're in hell until they head back to the material plane and try and find out what happened with Deckard after they banished him. Now, as part of this, we've been going through character building with him. Now, this is the only campaign that Ant has ever played in. It's his only experiences with D&D. Poor lad. So he's only had to build a character once before, so we're going through it all again from scratch, because if you don't do it very often, then it fades from your mind very quickly.
This is why I wanted to be a paladin, so I could avoid this.
I mean, you don't get to avoid character creation just because you're a paladin.
I will be the most persistent motherfucker I can and not die.
But yeah, so there's a lot of things that we've been going through with Ant, and that as a DM I go through quite a lot as well. I mean, we'll start off with what we think some good characters are in video games, to give some ideas of people you can draw off and things that are out there that are good ideas. I mean, Kyle, you're at the top of this list, aren't you? Your choice of character.
Yeah. So.
Flynn Fairwind.
Flynn Fairwind. This is a character from Battle of Azeroth.
World of Warcraft?
Yep. You meet him at the start of the BFA campaign when you're in the prison. He stops you from dropping the soap.
Mm-hmm.
And then you escape together. Lots of shit happens. You go on an adventure with him through like the first level or 2 levels of that campaign. Mm-hmm. And then he sort of becomes a bit of a fixture with the 7th Legion and doing various quests. But the storyline, the voice acting, the articulation of his character in-game, the animations, everything just builds this character that you become attached to by the end. I was a tad disappointed when it came to the finish of that, and I was sort of he was just sort of left as an NPC, just sat there like, do these quests. I wanted him to come with me and, do more shit.
Come alive again.
Yeah, because it was great. I mean, there's a section where he's drunk and he's proper hanging, and you need to try and escort him from where he is. And it's just great. He's a good character, and I hope to see more of him.
And I think what we'll find with a lot of the characters we like a lot in games, and a lot of popular characters in games anyway, is they fit into this Robin Hood archetype. So they're usually cheeky, sarcastic, funny, tend to have an accent, which is weird, thief with a heart of gold types, which, bearing in mind that he is a mercenary who breaks you out of prison, Flynn fits into very well. And, he has a drinking problem. He's not a clean character. He has a mixed bag of personality traits.
I wouldn't say he has a drinking problem. I'd just say drinking likes him.
But it's this mixed bag of characteristics that all add up to a very well-rounded character, which is the most important thing for building any character, is making them well-rounded, making them feel real and human, as it were.
Yeah.
Some of them aren't human, but we'll get into that. Making them feel real, like they have thought processes that normal people would have, like they are someone you could actually meet in the real world. That's the goal of any character creation. Like I say, Flynn has good and bad traits. He's made bad decisions, he's made good decisions, he's complicated, and that's people. People are complicated. People are always like that.
Everything's complicated.
Another one on the same line is one that I picked out on this list as well, Brynjolf from Skyrim. Again, he is part of the Thieves Guild. He's the one that recruits you. He's got an accent. He's got like a Scottish sort of sounding accent. And again, he's a thief with a heart of gold. And he's actually a glitched character. You were supposed to be able to talk to him more after the end of the Thieves Guild questline. Mm-hmm. But he glitched and they never patched it. There is patches you can get online to fix it. But so many people were so upset when you approach him in the future and he just goes, "Sorry lass, can't talk now. Sorry lad, busy right now, blah blah blah." So many people were so upset that Brynjolf didn't have any more to his character after that point.
And I love that it's the Bethesda way to let the community fix their half-assed game.
Yep. But yeah, he, again, a very well-rounded character. He gets thrust into situations that he doesn't really want to be in. The whole becoming a nightingale thing, he's like not really that into, but he understands that it's necessary, so he does it anyway. He's like, but I'm not religious, but I don't want to be a nightingale. And he's told, well, tough shit, if you want to beat the bad guy, you've got to. And it's like, well, fucking fine then. I'll do whatever it takes. I suppose it's the best thing to do. Mm-hmm. And he makes logical decisions. He questions things, and he's open-minded. He's willing to listen. In that quest line, there is someone called I'm allowed to spoil it. It's so many years old now. There's a character called Carlia, who Brynjolf believes is a murderess and a backstabbing bitch who deserves to die. Killed the last guild leader. But it actually turns out that the current guild leader is the murderer, and he framed Carlia. And once Carlia has evidence, she turns up at the Thieves Guild, and he actually gives her the chance to speak. He's open-minded enough to stop and say, you better have a good excuse for being here, and blah, blah, blah. So he does have issues of just believing what people tell him. That is definitely a bad characteristic on him. And he is a thief, but again, he's got that thief with a heart of gold, slightly cheeky sort of personality to him, which I think is a staple in a lot of media and it doesn't always come out right. You can often end up with that sort of personality just being a dickhead. It has to be done well. But I think both of those examples are examples of it done well. And again, the community in both cases wanted more from those characters, so that's how you know it's a good character.
And the next one on that list I'm going to touch is a sore point for some people. Papa Gabe, please bless this podcast. Gordon Freeman. So, this is a silent character from the Half-Life series that you project yourself onto. You put yourself in his shoes, you follow the story through his eyes, and if you're really that way inclined, you can shout profanity at your monitor and pretend that he can hear it. So, off the back of this, with the character creation, there is a series on YouTube which has been going for
donkey's years.
A long time. It's called Freeman's Mind, and it is a tongue-in-cheek sort of thing of how Gordon Freeman is just some partying frat boy that's managed to land himself a job in Black Mesa, and you hear his thoughts as like an internal monologue as he plays through the Half-Life series. Absolutely hilarious, and it fits the character perfect.
That's the thing, because blank faces, non-verbal protagonists, they're another, I think, subcategory of this that are some of the hardest to do well. Making a character that everyone can see themselves in and do that well is very difficult. Because obviously you can have any silent protagonist who gets told, go here, do this, go here, do this. Kirby does that. It doesn't mean that Kirby's a good, well-rounded character. But the bits of personality they do give him...
Such as no gag reflex.
The bits of personality they do give him, those small little quirks, build up really well to still be an everyman that you can project onto, but still individual enough that he feels real to you as well.
But we all know Kirby. He's a cold-blooded killer.
Mm-hmm. He is.
He will eat your heart.
Kirby's a sociopath. Pat did an episode on it.
Another shameless plug there.
Another shameless plug, game theory.
So, yeah, Gordon Freeman. Everybody's played Half-Life. If you haven't, get out of that rock and play it, but don't expect 3 to come out anytime soon.
Yeah.
Please don't kill me, Gabe.
Tangentially related as well is another subcategory, because we wanted to touch on, obviously, just because you're making a character, just because they're not human doesn't mean you have to put any effort in. GLaDOS. GLaDOS is a maniacal robot.
What is it? Genetically Advanced Disk Operating System?
Something like that.
I'm going to get so slammed if anybody actually fucking listens to this and leave a comment, because it's been that long since I played the Portal series that I can't remember what it stands for.
That'd be right.
But she is a hell of a character, and as a bit of trivia, she's actually the announcer in Team Fortress 2, if you're old enough to have played that.
But she's another subcategory again, which is great antagonists. So these sort of megalomaniacal... Oh my god, I can't say that word.
Megalomaniacal? Megalomaniacs?
Yeah. Megalomaniacal.
Batshit crazy.
But they're funny. And they're sarcastic. And they're charismatic. Even though they are the bad guys, you enjoy every moment that they're on screen. Handsome Jack's another one.
The thing with GLaDOS, though, is if you haven't played Portal 2, I'm not sorry. The thing is with GLaDOS is, though, she switches sides. Like in the first Portal game, GLaDOS was all like, kill human, neurotoxin, cake, etc. You're a puny human, you're fat. In Portal 2, shit goes down, and you and GLaDOS end up in the same fucking boat. And she, she teams up, and in the end, she's actually on your side.
Yeah, but her character never changes. This sort of sarcastic and
the slow clap module.
Yeah, she's fantastically written. Let's say she looks down on humans. She doesn't think much of humans, and she's that sort of sassy sort of level of not quite bullying, but definitely ribbing. She's just a fun character, and again, her being a robot and using things like sarcasm is really unexpected. You don't put that trait with non-human entities, but it works really well. And that's the thing, just because your character appears to fit into a certain box doesn't mean they can't spread out and stretch out from that.
Well,
weird character traits that don't seem to quite fit are usually the most humanising, because again, people are complicated. I hate needles. I am terribly phobic of needles. I genuinely, I have panic attacks when I go to the dentist. I don't do needles. But I have a dozen tattoos.
Yep, and it's a weird one.
People are like that.
And GLaDOS is also scared of birds.
Mm-hmm.
And off the back of that, we can't not talk about GLaDOS and not talk about Wheatley, because Wheatley is also scared of birds. He's voiced by Stephen Merchant.
Great British comic.
And if you look at the sort of like there's a behind the scenes interview with him, there's hours and hours and hours of voice lines that he's done that a lot of players in the game might never even see. Such as if a player just stands at a wall, staring at a wall, he has to sort of comment on that. Or if he's left Wheatley on the floor and just gone off to do his own thing, he has voice lines that say, "Oi mate, come back get me. I can't move." Bitch? So the voice can really bring a character alive, but at the same time, they don't always need a voice.
No, and that's the thing. It's a lot of games will have non-voiced characters. Skyrim, the main character's non-voiced. You have text options to pick from, and people will often speak out the lines that they're saying and things like that. Voices are incredibly important. I'm one of these that don't. As a DM, I can't do 50 million voices. I don't have the throat for it. I don't have the range for it. I do my best to make people sound different, so you can tell when I'm talking in character.
You become more emotive. Because when you're a DM, you're like, right, you bunch of cooks, fucking roll. And then when we get a character out, you're like, oh, hello, I've had a stroke and I work in a shop.
She's posh. She is Cadriel, so... and then again, when I have male characters, I drop an octave and I do very severe male voices, or I attempted an Irish accent once. But voices bring people, it draws people into a character.
But you do that crazy shopkeeper voice and it's, like, great.
Oh, Murian.
Yeah.
Hello!
Yeah, it's absolutely
terrible.
Absolutely horrifying when you look up from your character sheet on your laptop and you think, where the fuck am I? Did I roll for another dimension?
But yeah, so voices are incredibly important, and I wish you guys would use more character voices, just to help differentiate when you're speaking out of character more than anything else. But voices are incredibly important. The wrong voice actor or a bad voice actor can ruin a good character.
Yeah, and if we're talking about a character in a video game, bad lip syncing.
Yeah.
Regardless of how good your voice actor is, you could hire Morgan fucking Freeman.
I mean, Oblivion's famous for it, isn't it? Where there's like a couple of lines where the voice actors flubbed it and then redone it, and they've not cut out the flub, they've just kept the whole thing, and they're just the lips flapping around.
Yeah, Oblivion's an interesting game.
Yeah.
There is many, many broken things in there. What I think is top-notch character creation is what BioWare did with the Mass Effect series. So they created characters that you could really get behind their backstory, you could fall in love with them, get attached to them, and they were really well fleshed out. It hurts. So the best example, I mean, Mass Effect 1 was great, with its broken animations and everything, and the fact that, well, it is what it is, but Mass Effect 2 was like almost peak, if not peak, because you built a team and you did things with each member of that team to earn their trust and loyalty before you went off to do this, what they call suicide mission. And the amount of times that, like, I almost lost one of my members of my team, because I'm one of these suckers that got the achievement for, like, everybody surviving. But if you pick the wrong person for the wrong task, if you didn't pay attention to the dialogues enough and you didn't pay attention to the characters enough and you chose the wrong person for that scenario, they would die. So it was, the entire thing hinged on knowing your team being able to be loyal to you and trust you, and just, well, the odd quick time event. But the characters are just so well developed. And I mean, I've said it before, Mass Effect's a great series. You go around the universe, expanding your horizons and banging aliens.
And that's the thing, having a good cast of characters is really important. It's not just about the main character and the main villain. Everybody should have the same level of... I mean, yeah, you might not need to know what the old woman in the shop is doing on Saturday night, but you need to have an idea of who they are fundamentally. Something I'm known for is 99% of my NPCs I have character sheets for with facts about the character. Just as something to fall back on. Because you never know when your players are going to start chatting shit to some randomer. Like I say, it's that ever famous quote of there is a guy with like full armour looking sulkily in the corner with living flame hovering around his head in a halo. And there's the barkeeper's eyeing him up confused. And everyone's like, is there anyone else in the bar? And you're like, yeah, there's a halfling named Jeff. We want to talk to Jeff. It's always the same. Always. So it's good to have that backup to make the world feel more real, because every character in this world is their own individual person. They have their own life and their own story, and everyone thinks they're the main character of their own story. So if your players want to interact with someone off to the side, they should be able to have more than a blank slate staring back at them.
Yeah.
It just makes it feel a lot more real. I mean, if we touch a bit on our history of character making, then maybe.
Oh, God.
I mean, when you came up with Zarthos, what were the main character traits that you wanted to pick up on?
It's a difficult one. I wanted a character who could be a badass, but obviously wasn't. You know, so you can have your shining moments, like on our last session when I stuck a cobalt bomb into a
cobalt bomb?
Was it a cobalt bomb?
Cold iron and
Cold
salt.
Iron. Cobalt bombs are from World of Warcraft. Shouldn't mess with those either. But yeah, I stuck a bomb in its mouth and basically blew...
It was at a Rinnees,
and blew the bottom of its jaw off, and...
It was gruesome.
It was pretty fucking brutal. I got 2 lucky rolls there for grapple.
Yeah. By the way, I wanted to grant you inspiration for that, by the way.
Nice. But yeah, so...
I completely forgot that till now.
That happened. Yeah, I don't know. I knew what the team needed because you gave me a heads up and were like, look, they're all fucking glass cannons. They keep dying.
A tank character would be good, please.
So I decided I wanted to make a tank. Well, it was decided for me, but I was like, I'm going to fucking make this tank mine. Because in World of Warcraft, the primary...
So you didn't have to be a tank.
No, but it's the best thing I did. Otherwise, could you imagine how fucking hard every encounter would be?
That'd be right. We've got Bastion coming back.
Well, I went to the sort
Jack
of
coming back, so.
the WoW mentality of need a DPS, need healer, need tank, and also in WoW, I primarily play like humans and Draenei,
and paladins again.
Yeah, so I decided, fuck it, I'll just copy my Draenei paladin and make it a dude. And yeah, that was it. And then it was just a bunch of bullshit rolls on my stat sheet.
I mean, you did have ideas for your background.
Oh yeah, I came with the whole background story of, oh yeah, me and my little brother got separated at sea because our mother got taken by a dragonborn and I washed up on a beach, and did the whole fucking Zero to Hero bullshit with the Order of the Red Sun. Got it right.
Finally.
I mean, it took me like, what?
A year.
And a couple drinks. Yeah, so like I did all the backstory and everything, and then the way I was inserted into the game was after the demon walked into the bar.
Yeah. So basically, the Order of the Red Sun, we sat down and went through a whole bunch of stuff. They are followers of the Red Knight and have basically pushed their organisation all across the world. They've gone out of their way. They've split into 4 different, basically, tenants. So you have healers and you're from the development sector, but they act as a universal sort of police force. They go to towns and cities where they are needed to provide extra support, be it healing, be it, like I say, a police sort of level, whatever is needed.
Yeah, if you need some investigating, something blowing up, where
so
you
it just
guys?
happened that when obviously the demon appeared and the party had gotten in trouble, you were in town, and obviously being from the Order, are immediately drafted in to help solve what's going on. Yeah,
I was escorting a corrupted member of the Order, as you do. We had a gambling and drinking problems, and he liked to sample that elven booty. So I just sort of thought, you know what, fuck you, you can do your own thing since you're in debt. And wandered off from him, and then got cornered by an angry dwarf, and he was like, "You there, we've got like these people fucking tied up in a room, and then I get shoved in there and have to bluff my way out with all you guys."
Because, I mean, Zarthos' character does remind me a bit of you, and I will say, for those people looking at making a character, having them, if it's your first sort of experience of role-playing and that sort of thing especially, having them basically be you with one or two differences or enhancements is the best way to go when you're learning to roleplay. So Deland, my character, is very much like me, except she's more motherly, really, to people, and she's a lot more stubborn. Once she's got something in her head, she will stick to it. She's willing to change her mind, but she has to be basically pressured into doing it. It's very hit and miss with her sometimes. Once she's decided on something, she's 100% behind it, which gets her into trouble sometimes, but I used to be a lot more hot-headed, so she's sort of based on old Charlotte a little bit more, and like I say, she's a lot more motherly than I am. She's also a lot more promiscuous than I am, but she's a fun character to play, and again, because it's similar to me, I can relax a little bit playing her. I don't have to think too much. It's things that I usually do believe and do go with. She's a lot more religious than I am.
Are you religious at all?
No. No.
There we go, ladies and gentlemen.
But that ties in with her background. Basically, she woke up in a forest with no memories, and when she eventually made her way out to a town, a couple of years after she woke up there, she basically was helped by the local villagers, and one of them said to her, well, the gods work in mysterious ways. And she took that to mean that a god had literally done this to her for a reason. And it was either as a punishment or to allow her to go ahead and do whatever the god needed her to do. So she went on this path of trying to find out, one, what god? And two, why? Is she being punished for something, or is she needing clarity to move forward? It all turned out it was nothing to do with the god, but she's still very religious, she's very respectful, she doesn't follow a specific god because she didn't know who to attribute it to, and she wanted obviously to find out which god it was related to. So again, a few small changes from myself, but otherwise similar temperament and personality to me, so I could get into the roleplay a lot more. I think it's the same with you for Zarthos. Zarthos is very similar too, because you have long spates of being very, very quiet as a person. You have to be very comfortable with someone to get talkative, or you have to be in a silly mood, which Zarthos is very much the same.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish you would speak a little bit more in character, because when you do, Zarthos is very funny and very interesting. You also are a lot more thoughtful than a lot of the other characters, which is funny, bearing in mind we've got wizards and other magic users and none of them engage brain ever.
I think it's because I'm sort of in this prime position where I can sort of if I put my mindset into how he would, being, with the Red Dawn, with the Red Dawn, the Crimson Lady, Red Sun, fuck's sake, and the Red Knight. Which is all supposed to be about being a tactician and thinking things through, which is why I can be quiet sometimes. But on the flip side of that, like, I could be like in the middle of a fight and look around and shit is just going south. Like, the amount of fights we've had where I've nearly been in a wheelchair. The fight where we lost Esne. I know they said Esna. But yeah, the fight we lost her, it was just, it is a...
Never split the party.
Exactly. I mean, I know that myself from my MMO days. I didn't even need to know that for D&D. But it's a weird position to be in, because you're the meat shield for a reason. And that reason sometimes is so that everyone else can get the shit together so we can actually fight something.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can be frustrating as well, because I know I should be more active and intervening when stupid things are being done. But at the same time, a part of me is just like, sit back and watch the monkeys fling shit.
Which I think is very in character for Zarthos. Again, because he's come from the Red Sun, it is very tactical, and like I say, she is the god of tactics, of strategy. So sitting back and watching and analysing is a very in-character thing to do.
It's difficult though when sometimes you're at the front of the battle. Mm-hmm. You don't have time to analyse and think.
Well, that's the thing, your frontline attack and defence. The tactics there is that you are a small group and you need to protect the casters who can do big bursts of damage.
So it's just like WoW.
Mm-hmm. It is. It's exactly. What do you think WoW's based on?
Well, yeah, but what you're describing to me is something that I've been doing for years in World of Warcraft.
Get good. Get good.
Hey, don't ruin the advice for later.
But yeah, I mean, when it comes to making a character, down to the meat of things, think of negatives.
In what way?
Deland is stubborn to a fault. Once she's got something in her head, she won't let it go. She jumps to conclusions. She has gotten in trouble for it multiple times, and she's trying to be better but struggling.
Well, yeah, there's like on the back of that, there's like making decisions without thinking them through, putting yourself in harm's way, opening your mouth before discussing it with the rest of the party.
One of the characters got given a magic item. So Deckard, the one that obviously has just been banished, was given a magic item, which is a book that lets you basically ask the DM one yes or no question. Basically, it's asking the fates if this is a good idea. Specifically because he makes terrible decisions all the time. Before, like, doesn't discuss it with the party, just leaps into doing stuff and saying shit and getting people in trouble.
I want to introduce a new conversational setting for the next session. So instead of consulting the book, I'm going to do a team huddle.
Yeah.
Where we all huddle round.
And all the NPCs look at you gone out.
Yeah, we discuss it in whispers and glare at the DM. And then we go, we'd like option B, please. Or whatever the answer may be, such as Santa Fe, or we're not going to talk to that guy because he's got a rather large pointy thing. Yeah.
Deckard's very bad at leaping in and making decisions, but it's part of what makes his character real.
Yeah. It's a delightful spanner in the works of the game.
Yeah.
Which keeps it interesting, keeps it fun.
But like I say, the best characters have their downsides. No one is perfect. Everybody has ups and downs.
I don't.
So farts a lot.
I'm a fucking paladin. I'm perfect.
You're far from perfect.
Yeah, my only weakness is slopes.
You hesitate too much. Zarthos hesitates too much.
Yeah, we hesitated to the point where a guy got knifed.
Yeah, exactly.
You didn't even have a license for that
knife. You
knife.
saw he was injured. You could have immediately walked up and healed him. But you hesitated.
I was lost in the moment.
You let the others take forward. You left him poisoned and dying.
But him and Mouse were having a moment, and I was like, I didn't want to be that sort of awkward medic that's like, excuse me, can I just heal you?
That's the thing. As a medic, you should be pushing your way to the front. Patient care should be the important thing. But you should have stepped forward and gone, you can have this fucking conversation when he's not dying.
I was too lost in the moment. I was too busy.
That's the thing. That's a weakness of Zarthos. He's too patient. He's too happy to sit back and watch the others discuss and fight. In that he doesn't always take action when he should. He's too hesitant.
Can I just say this really feels like a parents' evening right now?
No, it's a good thing, because it makes him a more well-rounded character.
Kyle keeps picking his nose and filling his maths book with penises.
I mean, you do that anyway.
I ain't got a maths book.
No, but you've got our notebook where we keep all our notes for the for podcast.
When I was writing notes down about Flynn, I may have drawn a cock and balls in the margin.
He also may have opened paint on my computer and drawn half a dozen of them.
There's just something funny about dicks.
But yeah, it's important to have those flaws and those negatives. Without them, your characters aren't characters.
You'd be an NPC. You'd be Orange
Even
Man
my NPCs are better developed than that.
Well, yeah, but like I'm talking about in the terms of a cookie cutter sort of thing, like a Saturday Night Talk host on. Yeah.
Yeah, it's important to have that mix. Like I say, no one's personality is dead straight. Everyone's complicated and everyone's got bits and bats and contradicting things.
Like a damp piece of spaghetti. Sort of just curled up there, all soggy on the side. but it's looping all over the place. But the important thing is it's got a start and an end. Mm-hmm. It's a fucking weird metaphor.
Yeah, very weird. That'd be better for when we do character development as an episode. But yeah, like I say, having your positive traits are important, but you need to balance them. Like I say, no good character is two-dimensionally good. They are complicated. They may have more positive traits that make you know that they are a good guy or to be liked, but the negative traits are to balance out and make it more well-rounded. The negative traits should be important to the character. Your negative trait being, I leave the toilet seat up. That's never going to be important to the story.
No.
Never. Your negative trait being, I burn everything I cook.
It's
probably not going to come up very often.
But, say, for example, you're in charge...
It's a funny little thing that may come up at some point.
Yeah, like, for example, say if you're in charge of the campfire, you burn the food, doesn't restore as much health as it should do.
Yeah. I have a character who is, like, chronically scared of fire. So one of my characters is a ranger, wood elf ranger called Alana, a D&D character, with severe burns to her hands and forearms. Her whole village was slaughtered. Some priests of a weird cult obsessed with fire came in, and when they refused to bow and join the cult, they basically wiped out the whole village. She was caught under some burning timber that fell as she was trying to crawl out of a small space in a wall that had collapsed from her home. All of her family having just died in the next room as the roof collapsed. And it landed on her arms as she was stretching out. Eventually someone came and removed the wood. They managed to free her in the screaming mess. And she basically dove to the nearby river and floated downstream for several days until she came across a human settlement and could get medical care. From that, she's terrified of fire. She will not go near fire. If she's in the same room as a fireplace, so if she's gone to a tavern, for example, she sits in the furthest away corner, nearest an exit, and keeps an eye on it the whole time, is very much on edge. She doesn't cook her own food. She's a hunter, so she hunts in the forest nearby towns, gathers up all of her kill, takes it into town after slaughtering it and everything herself, sells what she can, keeps a small amount, and takes it to the local tavern and asks them to cook it, or trades it for dried food and goods that she can keep long term without having to cook herself. She wraps in a lot of furs and stuff to keep warm. That is an integral part of her character because fire spells exist. And when they do, she goes into panic mode. She doesn't like being near the campfire. She will sit at the very edge of it, putting her at risk for attacks from, animals in the woods or from assassins.
Basically, it has this huge-ass knock-on effect.
Yeah. And otherwise, she's quite quiet. She doesn't deal with people very well because she only comes into town when she has to. Blah, blah, blah. She has a lot of negative character traits in general. Again, she's not charismatic at all. She doesn't do well with people. She just doesn't understand a lot of social cues because of her upbringing. She doesn't like fire, so she stays away from people a lot. But she's also got a good heart and will never leave someone in trouble. She has the memory of watching the roof collapse on her parents and sister, and she will never let someone get in a situation like that again. She will not let people fall around her. She will put herself directly in harm's way if it means that other people are going to be safe. And it's the one thing that will overcome her fear of fire is if someone is in direct danger, then she will step up to the plate. So it's about balance and how it interacts with their other traits. It means a lot to me when people put a lot into a character. And you've got a good character when you're falling in love with them as you're writing them. And that that their negative traits don't seem that negative to you anymore.
I'd say it's more of an attachment, because for me it is anyway, because they're not real, but the fact that they're projected on slightly and it's just interesting. But
all of this stems. I mean, the whole thing D&D is getting so big now.
Yeah.
It's huge. I mean, every year for the past 5 years has been D&D's biggest year ever, and it's been going around since the 70s. We've come a long way from the Satanic Panic and
partying.
So we watched a video earlier about how Gary Gygax was like a massive stoner and partier.
Fact Fiend, check it out. They're awesome.
Fact Fiend are very good.
I especially admire his drinking problem. I like that.
Character development. Anyway, so it's getting bigger and bigger and better as time goes on. So more and more people are coming in and building their own characters and making their own worlds. They're coming in and developing more and pushing more, and there's only so many character archetypes, but no two characters are the same.
Unless they're twins.
Even when you have twins. Lisa, a friend of mine who plays in my online campaign, she has a set of twin characters that she plays called Zig and Zag. They are gnomes, and they have completely different personalities.
Zig and Zag are two puppets from Big Breakfast, and I was going to make a joke about photocopying the character sheet.
No, one's
Fuck
a wizard,
me, I guess.
one's a ranger. One's a wizard, one's a ranger, so that doesn't quite work.
One throws pointy sticks, the other throws fireballs.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, D&D is getting bigger and bigger. When we was at the con, there was just D&D shit everywhere, which is expected.
It's nice.
Yeah.
It's nice to have. You don't have to go out of your way to hunt these people and this stuff down anymore.
Yeah, you can just go to your local Forbidden Planet or game store.
I mean, Chesterfield used to have 2 comic book shops, one of which was a game shop that didn't really do D&D. That's where I originally grew up. Now we've moved to the big city. We've actually got a proper game shop and a proper comic book shop. I mean, the ones in my hometown have gone anyway. They shut down years ago.
Manchester is much bigger for this kind of thing.
We're going to Manchester tomorrow, so...
Yeah. I don't know if we'll get a chance to go to any of the stores,
we
but...
because I'm going to spend all my money on dice again.
Yeah. Some people drink, some people masturbate, others buy lots of dice.
I have a problem. Hang on a sec.
It's a character flaw, and please, the listeners don't need to...
They need to hear the pretty sounds that my chest of dice makes. Is this ASMR?
I severely hope not. I don't want to be associated with that.
I mean, you're getting just as bad.
You're buying them for me.
I know.
And I'm all I'm thinking is, these might roll better than the last set. Let's get them.
Anyway, I actually ordered some candles today, which come with mini D&D dice, a full set of polyhedral dice.
What I don't understand is why there was a scentless candle.
Because some people will put their own scents. They'll put oil drops.
God, I feel uncultured.
Not only that, but some people don't like strong smells, but they do like the aesthetic.
Normally the people that don't like strong smells smell strong themselves. Anyway, so we are coming up. We're over 50 minutes now.
Yeah, but we do have a little bit to cut. We have a fair bit to cut.
Yeah,
we might actually be under time this time.
Yeah, you never know. But so next week,
we've given you some ideas and some tips anyway.
Next week we are talking about intentionally aggravating and difficult games. Mm-hmm.
So obviously Dark Souls, that sort of line of things.
Dark Souls wasn't intentionally difficult, it was just evil. But the advice I'm giving people this week, if you're struggling with one of these games, get good. And I think that's it from us.
Yeah, pretty much. There were a couple of cards that we found after our last episode that I'm not going to cover right now because I think you guys had enough plugging of other people last week.
And she just noticed me looking drearily at the corkboard on the wall full of cards just being
It's not even half of them.
We need a bigger corkboard.
I need a bigger corkboard.
But thanks for joining us, guys. I hope you're enjoying it so far. Any feedback, please. Anything, any sort of comment, just to dribble. I mean, you could even just give us a fuck you in the comments. I don't care. Just some sort of response would be nice. just so that we know.
We have 7 subscribers now.
Yeah, 7.
7 whole subscribers.
We love...
Only 2 of them are us.
I love all of you guys, including myself, who's subscribed. Beautiful bastard. So, yeah, we'll make it one day.
One day. I am wearing my /2 t-shirt at the minute. It's comfortable.
Yeah, we wore them at the con.
Yeah, it was fun.
Mm.
It's just a logo on a shirt, it's not fancy. But yeah, that's all for this week anyway, guys. Like I say, we hope you enjoyed it. Like I say, we'll be back same time next week. Hopefully this will be going up at the correct time. And I won't have messed up and forgotten about it because it's not Mother's Day this weekend.
Yeah, we want that sweet, sweet YouTube algorithm. The only way to do it is to upload at the same time every week or day.
Every day is better, but I'm not about that life.
True that.
But yeah, have a great week, guys, and we'll speak to you later.
Take care and speak soon.
Bye.